welcome to Go For Your Life. Thank you so much for tuning in and giving me your listening ears. Woohoo! This is a podcast for everyone, about everything, and it's to encourage, inspire, uplift you to go for your life. And it is presented and hosted by myself, Caro, and my sweet dog, Sparky. Give it up for him. I hope you're ready. Enjoy. So welcome back to another episode of Go For Your Life. I am here with Tom. Welcome, Tom.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So happy you're here, all the way from Switzerland. I have been in your beautiful house. It's quite amazing. Is it Lausanne or is it another place?
No, we live in a. I guess it's a village called Jongy, which is above a town called Vevey.
That's it. That's where it is. Close to Lausanne.
But most people will know Lausanne, though. So it's good to give. If you say Lausanne, then people have a rough idea of where it is.
Yeah, it's a really, really beautiful place. You have such a, you have the lake there and the mountains, and it's not a bad place to be, I would say, Tom.
It's not. Definitely not.
Definitely not.
I'm not complaining.
We cannot wait to come back. That's for sure. I'm still there in my head most of the time. So I'm just still there. Spiritually, I'm still there. Thank you so much for doing this. I mean, I met you like a few months ago, I guess. In Stu's teacher training, and we were actually both on the same weekend.
We were
doing a talk. Me about veganism. Oh, that's my co-host. Hello, Sparky. Me about
Sparky.
veganism. Yeah, he takes his role very serious. It's cool. He also wanted to say something to Tom. And you were talking about teaching yoga to cancer patients and also your own journey really as a cancer survivor, which I just find so extremely inspiring. And I'm really honored that you're here on the podcast to talk about it, because I think it was really an inspiring, just a really inspiring talk that you were giving. And I think I have the feeling, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, that there isn't enough that's being shared about it. I feel like, at least here in Holland, a lot of times you don't even, you dare to say the word, or, you don't really want to, can I say the C word or hear the K word? Kind of people like sort of, floating around a subject.
Tiptoe around the subject. When usually most cancer patients just want you to be direct and treat them, like you would if they didn't have cancer. That's the kind of the tiptoeing doesn't help. We all know we've got it. So it's like there's no point in tiptoeing. We know we've got it. So you deal with it every day, so you don't need people to try and be gentle with you, because you've already made up in your own mind what you're doing and how you're doing it. So we just want to get on with it.
Because can we kind of jump back in time when it happened and what happened to you, Tom?
We can. I mean, so I think it was 2017, and I'd been feeling sick for quite a long time, and I'd been going to the doctors and passing all their tests and things like that, but I'd not been getting. I've been getting more and more tired and feeling weaker and weaker. And to be honest, when it actually, when it fully manifested itself, I was actually doing Stuart's 200-hour teacher training. And I think I was about halfway through, and I remember Sabrina, my partner, was going to take me to the airport, and we were walking to the train station, and I asked her, does one of my legs look bigger than the other one to you? Which is a weird thing to say to somebody. And she's saying, no, they did look fine. And I'm like, Anyway, I got on the plane and I was doing the teacher training, and I was having trouble standing. It was uncomfortable to stand, and so I asked Stuart if it's okay if I just kind of sit down and just take notes. And then when I got back to Switzerland, I went back to the doctor again for must have been the 15th time, and I just said, look, you know,
something's wrong.
look at this leg. This leg is definitely bigger than this leg. It's just undeniable. And then she said, yes, that's right. And she, for some reason, they thought it was what's that thing where the muscle tears and the stomach comes through? I can't remember the name for it now. Hernia.
Yeah,
They thought
exactly.
they thought it was a hernia. So she sent me to this stomach specialist. And literally when I walked in, he was like, yeah, no, I don't think this is a hernia. And so he said, what do you think it is? I said, I don't know, because I've done lots and lots of scans and everything keeps coming up negative. And I said, when I looked it up online, it said I had lymphoma, which is a type of cancer. Yeah. And he said, we're going to do a biopsy on you. So we did a biopsy, and obviously the biopsy came back as positive for lymphoma. So that was a victory for WebMD, because WebMD nailed it when I put in all my symptoms 6 months before. That's what it said it was. And we actually said to the doctors, WebMD says it's lymphoma. They did loads of tests and they say it's not lymphoma, but it definitely is lymphoma. So I had I went to get the results, and I got the results off a stomach specialist, and he basically said it's lymphoma, but I'm not an oncologist, so I don't really know what it is. I just know it's cancer. Yeah. So, and like we were saying earlier, it's the C word. So I don't remember too much of leaving the doctors, if I'm honest. It was all a bit of a blur. Sabrina got me to the car, got me home, and then I had 3 days of probably the worst 3 days of my life, because I knew exactly how long I'd been feeling sick for, and it was about a year. And I was just thinking, a year with cancer, that's not going to be good. That's really not going to be good. And so the stomach specialist had recommended a oncologist, Stefan, his name is. And I went to see him, and his first words to me actually were, I've looked at your biopsy, and he says it's bad, but I think we can do something, but it's going to be really, really hard.
Okay.
So for me, actually, I know that sounds bad, but for me, I'd already been thinking he's going to tell me I've got 2 months to live. Got
only a few more months left.
So anything that wasn't that was
going to be good.
Victory. So then and then you do a load of tests. So they basically you get all sorts of scans, and you get the worst thing in the world. You get a bone marrow. They take some of your bone marrow and they check to see whether it's spread to your marrow. That is the worst bit. That bit where they take the bone marrow, there's not enough there's not enough painkiller in the world to stop that hurting. It really hurts. But I, for some reason, which they couldn't explain, even though I'd had it for so long, it had not really spread too badly. So I had a kind of just above where my leg had swollen up on the right side. There's what had happened is the lymphatic fluid in my body. So lymphoma is a cancer of the lymph, which is the system that helps you fight disease, basically. And it sort of runs in parallel to your blood system, and it helps take all the impurities, and it's what helps you fight disease. But mine had obviously got cancer, and the cancer had grown into a mass of about how long did he say it was? It was quite long, so I don't know how long this is, but quite long. And what's that? I don't know, 30, 40, maybe 50 centimeters, so quite long. And that had blocked the lymphatic passages, and this was why my leg had swollen up, because the lymph fluid could no longer flow around my body, and it was trapped in the leg. And so so I basically did lots of tests, and then they came up with a course of treatment that I could do, which basically the original plan was to do chemotherapy, very intense chemotherapy, followed by radiotherapy. And you know, I had all sorts of, I had a special thing fitted in my chest so that they could put the chemo fluid straight into your bloodstream just above the heart, because it's poison basically, and they don't want to accidentally get it on your skin, and they don't want to apparently, I mean, I don't know the science, but apparently your veins are very good at keeping it in the veins, and then it spreads to the areas it needs to get to. It's not really as precise as that. They just obliterate everything in your blood system. And you know, fortunately for me, I think I was relatively healthy. I had I was a keen cyclist, and I practiced yoga regularly. To be honest, practicing yoga helped me notice that something was wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's one of the, I would say it's one of the good things of a regular yoga practice is that,
you start noticing something.
Yeah,
you know when something's off.
You know when it's not just, oh, I've pulled a muscle. You know what I mean? You know when something, you know, because muscle injuries are quite common when you practice yoga, especially the sort of dynamic stuff we do. So, you know, every so often you're going to, but, you know, I knew that it was not that. And whenever I was going to the doctors and they were saying, oh, you know, you probably just, no, it's not that. It's not that. It's something else. So that kind of helped me. And so then I was going to start the treatment, but we didn't want to, you know, part of the thing with cancer is, especially depending on what treatment you're going to choose, you're kind of beholden to experts telling you what to do. And we didn't, I say we, because it was a team exercise in getting me better. I mean, I can't take all the credit. I had a lot of people in the background helping me. And we decided that we weren't just going to sit there, go to the hospital, get chemotherapy, come back, sit there. And so we decided to embrace some alternative therapies as well. So obviously yoga was part of my already part of my kind of, if not daily, at least 3 or 4 times a weekly diary. So then that became a daily thing. And obviously I used meditation and pranayama to help keep me calm. And I went, I think it was probably about 60% raw. So I stayed on a vegan diet, but I went a bit further. So I 60% raw, lots of juices, and cut down on anything that gave me, so obviously no fizzy drinks anymore. I stopped eating almost all fruit apart from red berries. And I also I cut out pasta and bread made with wheat. I'd only use old grains and things like that, because although that does give you sugar, you know, it's a slow release sugar. Like the modern wheats are a bit too fast releasing. And what I learned from all the tests they do on me is that cancer loves sugar, loves sugar. It's its favorite thing. So if you're eating lots of sweets and lots of and drinking fizzy drinks and things like that, and alcohol, anything like that, it's just feeding the cancer. So what we tried to do is to modify the diet so that we weren't giving the cancer any encouragement to live. So, and that, along with the chemotherapy, if I'm honest with you, after the first chemo session, I noticed a difference immediately. My leg, almost immediately, my leg just went down to almost the same size, and I could practice again. Because that was my biggest thing as I was getting sicker and sicker, my practice got less and less regular until the point I couldn't do it anymore. And so after one chemo session, I was like, okay, hang on, this leg works again. So okay, let's try and do something. I think that first time I could do 1A and 1B.
Okay, good.
So, and that's what I did. So I
Yeah.
sort of, on the days I could practice, I would try as best I could. And gradually it got up to 5 A's and 5B's. And
Mm.
then slowly, Stuart's little primary thing that he teaches on his 200 hour, that came after about a month. I could do that.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how I marked my progress. Quite
Mm.
early on, I think I knew I was going to. No, that sounds arrogant. So quite early on, I could see the positive signs already, and because of my daily practice, I could see, okay, I'm definitely getting better. I didn't know it was going to go away, but I was definitely getting better. So that, I think I mentioned to you before, I definitely mentioned in the talk that one of the most important things is a positive mindset.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what treatment you're going to do, and there's lots of different ones, you know what I mean, and lots of people, especially in our world, would not think of doing chemotherapy because it's I know it's quite easy to say that, and I think I may well have been one of them people before someone tells you you've got cancer.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit different, but I would say that a lot of the treatments are valid and have had success.
Yeah.
I think you've got to buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever one you pick, you got to go in
Yeah.
fully committed.
Well, and also you were really complementing different treatments with each other as well.
Absolutely.
Like it wasn't
Yeah.
like I'm just going for. I mean, I would definitely in your situation done the same thing, and I have the same beliefs as you. I would also be like, oh, it's not really what I would vote for, but let's try everything. Because you just have to. You just wanna you have this willpower to live and to survive.
I think a lot of it as well is like you say, people don't want to talk about it. Cancer's a scary word, but another thing is that the science has got better. It's not like when I was young and you heard about people having chemotherapy, they were like in a almost a vacuum with in a room, almost in a tent, and that anything getting near them was going to kill them. But it's not really like that anymore. You definitely have to be careful. But I came home.
I just want to say, because it sounded like you were also just being outside, right? You were just walking around and living your life.
Yeah, I could. I mean, I had a big advantage of a lot of people is that maybe it's the same in England, but in the company that employed me, they just told me, do not even think of coming into work. They said, if we see you working from home, we're going to come home and we're going to take your laptop off you. All these sort of things, which sounds like, what anyone would do, but that's not the case. A lot of companies are not quite so
understanding
kind,
and supportive.
And they really were. My bosses, they were super kind and kept in touch, and it wasn't something I was expecting, but I was grateful for it because it meant I could just focus exactly on what I needed to do. That's that definitely helped.
Yeah, because I think, like, do you feel like when you talk about the positive mindset or having a positive mindset, did you have that from the beginning, or do you feel like what did you do to get there? Like what?
So the very first thing I did, which was a massive mistake, is when I got home, I looked up the lymphoma I had. Well, I looked it up just to, I talked to the oncologist, but I thought, let's just look online. Big mistake.
Never do that.
So one of the things is like the internet. It's driven by bad news stories, really. I mean, for all the cute little kitty cats there's like hundreds of things of people dying. And so when you look up what you've got, lymphoma, there's like thousands and thousands of absolute horror stories. And what I have to say is, if I was going to give a recommendation, and this is what happened with me. So after one day of me just being scared shitless by all this stuff, what we did is Sabrina looked on the internet and she edited and sent me happy stories, success stories, people
amazing.
recovering. So so that was good for me.
Your own internet filter. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it was good for me, but not so good for her, because she still had to read all the horror stories, you know. So she took all the bad news, filtered it out, and gave me the positive stories. And then the positive stories are very positive. And you know what is not, you know, it's about 70% of people that are diagnosed with cancer survive. So that's a big number, and is not said enough, because people always think it's you know, it's a death sentence. Not always. In fact, most times not, especially if you go early. So I was a little bit lucky, because I did go early, but they didn't diagnose me for a year. But that being said, I'd already skipped lots of the tests they needed to do, because they'd already done them loads of times. So that when it needed to come to the important tests they needed to do, they could just go straight in. They had all my records from before. So I bought myself a lot of time there. My oncologist, you know, he's a Swiss guy. He's not a vegan, and, you know, did a big sigh every time I was saying, you know, you know, you really need to eat this, this, and this to help you with, because you've got to keep your strength up, and you've got to keep the weight on. And he was worried I was going to lose too much weight. Didn't work out that way. I put on 5 kilos, so yay for a vegan diet. But he, quite early on, he said, I don't know what it is you're doing, but keep outside doing it. Of when you come, but keep doing it. I think a lot of it is they don't, in Switzerland certainly, and I'm sure it's the same in America, they've got a protocol to follow.
Exactly.
And what they do is he diagnoses me, and he comes up with a plan to follow, but he then takes it to his group of peers. So they have a committee where everything he's decided to do is double checked by, I think there's 30 of them in this committee, and they're all experts in their field, and they all agree or disagree. And you know, and so when you eventually get the treatment, it's not just him saying so. There's loads of other people, but because what we were doing is slightly outside their protocol, you know, they don't want to know, because, you know, if it's a legal thing, I guess, if they end up getting sued, it's better if they don't know, you know, because people are litigious if it doesn't go well, you know what I mean? So. But, you know, we'd read up in lots of different places, and Sabrina had read up in lots of different places. And so, like you said, we incorporated a lot of, I would say, alternative therapies into our plan. So it was good.
Because how many chemos did you have in the end?
So it's going to sound small. So it was 6 treatments over. So I had a treatment, and then I'd have 3 weeks break to recover, because for my one, it needed to be intense. So you can get different sorts of chemotherapy. This is the thing, it's not the same for every cancer. So you can get some. I've got a friend at the moment that's having lots of small amounts of chemotherapy, but quite regularly. But I needed to have, because there was so much cancer, it needed to be
this nasty,
it needed to be nuked. It needed to be my dark friend, I used to call him. And he needed to be nuked heavily. So I had 1, and then I'd have 3 weeks off, and then it was spread over 6 treatments. After 3, I could, you know, it was, you know, you could see that it was going in a positive direction. But by the end of, I didn't really look like I had cancer, because I was already bald. So. And I didn't really look like I had cancer until maybe after the 5th one. And I began to get that. I was still fat. I put, like I say, I put on 5 kilos, but I had my skin, because it gets into your skin, the chemo. And I was beginning to look grey, and really tired and just that kind of skeleton face. Even though I was still heavy, I didn't look it in my face. And then after the sixth one, they do a final scan, and then I was cancer free, so I didn't need to do the radiotherapy. Which was good for me, because radiotherapy is a bit more hit and hope. It kind of, so although they do it targeted, it's just having radiotherapy. So I was glad I didn't have to do that. And at the end of it, I went off to a retreat where they did where it was just raw food and saunas to get all the poison out of my skin. I think there's a picture of me before I went to Thailand and after I went to Thailand. And before, I don't look good, but afterwards I look like Tom again. So after 2 weeks, I think it was 3 weeks in this place, just having regular Thai massage, regular saunas, just eating raw food, yoga every day. I come back to normal again after that.
That's amazing.
And then, and that was, I think it's going to be 5 years ago in March. So in March I'll be 5 years clear. Very good. I've just
that's something to celebrate. That's for sure.
It is.
Yeah,
absolutely. So and
because from getting it, Tom, or like knowing that you had it, and then all the treatments, is that like a year in or something, or like when were you cancer free from when you got the cancer?
I was 6 months.
Okay.
So after 6 months of treatment, there was no more cancer. But there's especially, I mean, with all cancers, there's a high chance of it coming back. So we've, I wouldn't say I'm anywhere as near as disciplined as I was, but I mean, I still would say that 50% of my diet is raw. I eat pasta now. So, and I still remember the first day when I had real pasta again. I just ate chickpea pasta for 6 months, and chickpea pasta is nice.
Yeah,
but it's not like
the real pasta.
it's not the real thing. So I still remember that first pasta dish I had afterwards. That tasted real good.
And is the fear always there, Tom? Is there always the fear of like, oh, it could come back? Like, do you live with that, or do you?
Yeah, they call it the shadow of cancer. So there's always, even now I'm 5 years clear, more or less. There's still the you're more likely than anyone else to have it come back. So I have to be fairly vigilant. I think I just had a blood test. I'm going to get the results on Monday. I can let your listeners know.
Absolutely. We all want to know the results of that, of course, Tom.
So
yes.
If this is all positive, I will go to yearly checks only, which makes me more or less a normal person, because most people these days go to a doctor for a yearly checkup. So so I'll be normal, as they say.
Because now you're also, because you have this wonderful website, which I'll share as well, cancer coaching, and you are a coach for cancer patients, people with cancer. And I think it's more than just yoga, right? You also really coach people and how to deal with having cancer.
So one of the things is kind of halfway through my treatment, I was being told so in Switzerland, you don't go to a doctor's to get your chemo. You go to there's a special clinic where that's all they do is just give you chemotherapy. And they were telling me, you have quite a good outlook on all this. And I started thinking, if I do recover, maybe I can share what I've learned. And I honestly thought I had invented the concept of cancer coaching. But I thought, yes, great, I've invented it.
Revolutionary.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was all excited. And then when I started looking on the internet, as I found, no, I didn't. It's kind of a thing in America.
Yeah.
And I found this this company. They're called Cancer Journey Institute, and they're very nice band of people, and their course is backed up by the World Coaching Institute. I think it's the Cancer Federation, something like that, which are based in Switzerland, and they have rubber stamped them as a proper coaching thing. So I did that course.
Nice.
And so what we do, so what I try to give is I try to give advice, but I'm also there as someone you can talk to about your deepest, darkest fears without fear of it. So one of the things that you definitely struggle with when you have got cancer is there's times when you don't feel great, and there's times where you maybe want to give up, but you don't really want to tell the people in your team these things because, you know,
it's hard for them as well.
Hard for them, to be honest, if I'm honest with you, I'm going to put this in a weird way. So I would say it's harder for the people that are supporting you than you suffering, because you've got clear goals and you've got a clear thing that you follow every day. And, you know, obviously the end result for you could be worse, but you're just focused on not getting to that. You're not dying, basically. So everybody else, they don't have this. They just have the worry of what you're going through. And I think it's worse for the support team than it is for the person that's got it. Everybody I know that was involved with me, it was hard for them. You know, hard for them seeing me going through the ups and downs. And sometimes I wanted to say stuff, but it was just because I had cancer and and me, I'm the pro, you know. And so I often thought when I had it, it would be nice to talk to someone that wasn't involved. And so that's what I like to offer now. So if people
did you have that, Tom? Did you have that for you?
I didn't have it. No. To be honest, we did look, but it seemed to be heavily based around breast cancer, actually, most of the support groups here. And I thought, you know, maybe and I also, maybe I could offer something that was broader. And also I wanted to, I mean, I don't tell everybody to be a vegan. I definitely tell them to stop having dairy. Even my doctor said that. And he's a Swiss guy. So as you know,
something else.
Dairy's a massive thing. But even he was saying, you know, stop dairy for sure.
But I always say that to people, like, even if you only look at veganism from a nutrition perspective, if you will go to a nutritionist, they will always tell you to stop eating dairy, even before stop eating meat, you know? Because
absolutely.
You know, it's just unhealthy. It's very unhealthy.
Yeah, and it's it's a big step if you're not a vegan to suddenly go being a vegan. So that's not necessarily what I recommend. I mean, it worked for me. And some of the evidence from my case is that my veganism probably stopped the spread because there was not so much of the nasty stuff for it to feast on. But I definitely don't tell people, hey, veganism is going to cure you. But like I say, you stop
it's definitely
dairy.
Served you in a way, of course.
Yeah, I definitely tell people to stop dairy, and and raw, especially raw salads and things like that, definitely help me. So and it's something everybody can do. So that's the kind of way I point people in. I definitely tell them to stop drinking. It's definitely not going to help.
But I think it's also what I love from, you know, I checked your website, of course, a few times already. Actually, I really like it. So beautiful. Also, the picture is so beautiful.
And again, credit to Sabrina there.
I just want to say, like, I'm sure Sabrina.
I struggled for 6 months to build a website, and she built it in a week. So,
Sabrina.
And I'm an IT guy, and I still couldn't get my head around it, but she built it in a week. So
no, but I love it anyway, because it has a really clear view. But I also love what you say there about all journeys in the unknown are easier with the guides, and that you want to be that person. And I think that's something. There must be such an incredible amount of fear. And I don't know if there's also, I mean, for example, when you spoke about, you know, that first period of you kind of already knowing something was off, and then doctors not finding it. I would also be angry. I would also be like what's going on here? Like, why, so did you deal with those feelings as well?
I mean, I was, to be honest, by far, and I can only recommend that if you've got a worry, go and get it checked, because
exactly. Yeah.
not knowing is way worse than, I know it sounds weird, but not knowing causes much more stress than knowing, because obviously you're going to be scared, but not knowing, it eats away at you inside, and if I'm honest, stress is a major contributor to cancer. So if you don't know, you're just creating conditions for it to get worse. It's so much, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it's so much better to know.
Yeah.
As soon as I mean, obviously there was 3 days where I was, shit, this is bad. But even then, I'd been thinking it was that all that time anyway.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
it was kind of
you
like,
were just relieved to hear it from the doctor's mouth, I guess, because it was in your head already.
Yeah. And then, and then you can kind of deal, the 3 days I wrote a will, did all these sort of things, and then when you go to the doctor and he says there's a chance, well, you grab that chance, but it's not always better to know. Was I angry? I mean, I definitely don't see the GP that was not diagnosing me anymore. I tell you who was actually angry: the oncologist. He was furious. And the stomach specialist I went, he was like, how the hell have they not noticed this already? You know what I mean? So they were angry. Was I angry? I guess I must have been a little bit angry, but I just, not for long. I was scared more than anything.
And
but also relieved that finally I know now. And then of course, there's these things I'm going to have to do, and it's going to be hard.
I guess you're also straight away have to do. You also know, like, when you know it, you also straight away are thinking of treatments and what do I need to do. And I guess you're also, your mind is active again, right? Because you're thinking about what's the next step.
Well, I think the biggest thing was, first off, I was scared. I guess there was a little bit of anger, but then I got impatient because I just wanted to start the treatment. So I've had a year of not doing this.
Exactly.
Let's get on with it. You know what I mean? But they have you have a whole load of things you have to go and have your heart. So one of the things that almost one of the big things about the treatment is it's quite hard. So a lot of people die because of the treatment, because it's tough on your body. So before they're going to give you this really intense chemotherapy, they send you, I had my heart checked, everything, checks all over. And that took quite a while, maybe 4 weeks of checks before they finally said, right, now we're going to, because they had to put the thing in my chest for the chemo, and you get your heart checked, which was fascinating. But in the end, I came out as healthy enough to have the treatment they were going to give me. So so then I was just impatient. Let's go. Come on.
I'm ready. I'm
ready. Yeah.
And would you say that now with the cancer coaching that you're doing, is it like a mixture of like just coaching, kind of like life coaching, but specifically for people with cancer, and then also the yoga, or is it like what do you do as a coach?
So I would say it's a combination. So what I would say is that so yoga is not essential, but some sort of movement is essential for your lymphatic system to start helping you again. I mean, you could do any exercise, but the ideal thing with yoga is you can do it on your own. So you're not in a germ-ridden gym. It's kind of how does Stuart put it? It's kind of gentle but firm.
Yeah, totally.
And you can kind of do as little or as much as you're capable of. So that, and the lymphatic system is triggered by movement, and so yoga is perfect for exercising all the parts of your lymphatic system in a gentle but firm way. So it's perfect to help you on your road to recovery. So what I offer is I offer coaching sessions where we can talk about whatever's troubling you, but I also offer yoga sessions as well, and we can do these online, or I can come to your house, and and I think the idea is that, especially if you've never done yoga before, it's the perfect way to introduce you to yoga. But also it helps you recover, and maybe sets you on the path of a yogic life afterwards. Because if it helps, people tend to carry on doing it once they've recovered. And then they can. Another good positive thing of it is that I can do I do group sessions, and so then nice. The yoga patients get to meet other people that have, and that's kind of it. A lot of the trouble with cancer is that there's not so many positive stories out there, and there's not so many people you can talk to, but this introduces you to other people that are going through the same things you are, and you get to find out, oh, that weird pain I have, it's just a cancer thing. I don't need to worry. Everybody gets it, that sort of thing. So
that's also beautiful, like getting people together through the coaching as well. That's really nice.
I mean,
really good thing to do.
Usually the coaching is one-on-one, but sometimes you can have group sessions, and that is positive, definitely positive, because people get to find out that them dark thoughts they're having, everybody has.
Well, I'm sure it's also because you were saying like you have a team, but I think maybe not everybody has that. Not everybody has all these people rooting for them or supporting them, and it must be also can be a lot of loneliness involved as well, I would say.
I think one of the very first things I noticed is that I had Sabrina taking me to the chemo sessions, and at some point after you've just been given it, you kind of go to sleep for a bit. And she would go off and get me some nice hummus from the shop down the road and come back, and I'd wake up and I'd have hummus, and I'd look around and I would see that there were a lot of people that were just there on their own. And my heart kind of broke a little bit, and I think my first thing before I decided I want to go into cancer coaching is I just wanted to be able to take people to their chemo sessions and just sit there with them. That was something as basic as that. And that is a service that I offer. Is that 100%. Hey, if you don't have someone to take you to the chemo, I'll take you. And then I'll sit there and wait until I have to say, it's not my main job. I do have I'm employed to do something else. But in my spare time, this is what I'm doing. So
No, but I think it's exactly, it's so beautiful what you said about being that person for people. I think that's so important, because I think it is really, it can be, I've definitely known people who had cancer who were alone, and who were, or also who were in that first period of having cancer, just not knowing, like, I can't really tell my family, I can't really tell this person.
Absolutely.
I'm too afraid they're going to flip, or, I don't want to scare them, or don't want to worry them. And there's this thing like, then I'm going to be their burden, and and only eventually when they get really ill that they sort of reach out. But still, then I think it can be a very lonely time for people.
It definitely is a lonely time. I was lucky. I had a core team of and then I also had a kind of extended friend network that I'd all told, and we created a little group on WhatsApp, and they were sending me stupid things every day, and all these sort of things.
They're kind of cheering you up. That's beautiful. Absolutely. Actually. No, but I think that's the one thing that even if you aren't ill or something, just having a tribe, having a supportive network, it's gonna it helps you so much, and it's I think I'm so happy you had that.
And then, like you said, though, that lots of people don't, and that's kind of where a coach can come in, and help. And it's quite a lot of the times you're being treated by doctors that have never had cancer, and
That's a good
you're
point.
being treated by nurses that have never had cancer, so they're telling you theoretical things.
Yeah, that they know from a textbook, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I can tell you stuff that's not theory. I've been there, done it, and
exactly. You
lived
through it. Yeah, exactly. That's so, yeah, that I think that is also, it kind of makes you a better coach as well, I think, like
absolutely
you really lived it, and
yeah,
it's what you can do for people as well. And what I really liked as well what you said, because when we spent the weekend together recently, I asked you, like, do you feel fitter now than you did before, because are you back on a sort of fitness level that you were before you got ill? And then you were like, no, I actually feel the fittest I've ever been now.
I know for sure now absolutely. Yeah
really good.
Yeah, so it's I would say I had a practice before, but I could easily be dissuaded from doing it. Now I mean, yoga teaches you discipline, and one of the things that got me through cancer was that I had a protocol I was following. We had it written up on a board hanging in the room upstairs, and I was very, very disciplined, and yoga was part of that discipline. And now my practice is, I practice every day. I do have one day off a week, as the books tell you, and sometimes maybe I'm only doing 40 minutes, but I'm practicing every day.
That's the most important thing.
And a little bit of practice every day, as Stuart says, is better than an intense practice twice a week.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's also that's also something that's really kind of became part of you as well, that discipline. And I guess discipline, you had to be disciplined also with your treatments. So, like,
yes, absolutely.
You just learned discipline in a general way.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of looked at it as there's 6 months of being really disciplined to have a positive outcome at the end, and that worked for us. Yeah,
no, I'm so. It was funny because spending time with you as well, and I texted that to you as well, but I told a few of my friends, like, I'm so happy you survived, because I was like, I would not have wanted to miss, being able to spend time with you. And I think you're such an amazing person. And I don't know, I know it sounds really harsh, but I was like, so happy he didn't die, like, so happy. I'm so happy he survived this bitch, because, I'm just grateful that you are alive and that you can do what you're doing now, because you also are using your whatever you've been through as a positive thing to help others, and that's incredible. Like, I think it's such a beautiful thing.
There's definitely I don't think there's cancer teaches you something. There's a book by what's her name? I think her name's Bethany Webb, and it's called My Guru Cancer.
Oh yeah. You mentioned that.
And if you don't learn anything from going through that experience, it's almost a waste of the experience. I mean, everybody wants to survive, but quite early on in my recovery, I thought, I want to kind of share what we learned from this, because there was quite a lot of investigation, mainly done by Sabrina, obviously. But I mean, I did do a little bit as well, but obviously I'm the kind of I'm the sort of almost the proof of our method.
Absolutely. So the living proof.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely it can help people, and I just wanted to at some point be there for people that are going through the same thing, and just help them see the positives. And because even if it's going to be a negative result, say, not everyone recovers, you can still use the time in a positive way.
Exactly.
And part of my training is to try and help people that are not going to survive to use what time they've got in a positive way, and embrace it sounds weird, but almost embrace what's coming. So
that's a practice on itself, I would say, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
quite a journey I had, but you know, embrace the positives.
No, and I think it's, do you feel like, do you look at things differently as well? Like surviving, like what has really some things that changed for you?
I mean, before, people will tell you I was a workaholic.
Yeah, you were mentioning that. Yeah,
I had, you know, I was a vegan and I practiced yoga. So you could imagine how pissed off I was when I got cancer.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like what?
Hey, wait, what? But on the other side of that, I worked more or less every day of the week. I really didn't have holidays. Even when I had holidays, I took my laptop on the holidays.
Exactly. Still working.
You know, so I was never really switching off. And what I learned is that life is a balance, you know, unless you've got, it doesn't matter how much you're going to the gym and how much if you don't have your life in a balanced, orderly way, you know, your lymphatic system and your body's immune system, it needs all of your areas of your life to be sort of level. Otherwise it can't cope. And if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're stressed, it doesn't matter how many vegetables you're eating. It's gonna, you know, your immune system will not cope at some point. And it might not break in a way that gives you cancer, but it will break in a way that will make you very, very sick. And you know, your body can fight almost everything, but you got to help it.
Exactly. So
now I don't work 24/7. I try to be less grumpy, but obviously most people will tell you I don't succeed in that very well. But you know, but I'm a lot more happy with my life. I take joy in the simple things. Just walking out on my balcony and inhaling the air every day.
I mean,
and obviously I have a very good balcony, but
I just want to say that's quite a balcony to do that on, Tom.
Yes,
my goodness,
I have a very good balcony, but
that's a very nice balcony.
I appreciate the time. I was just flying. I flew back to England, to go and see my dad not long ago, and I was on the plane, and just as I was coming in to land, the sun, the sky went such a color. It was like, oh wow, man, that is so beautiful, and I appreciate these little things every day.
It's also because I think it's just that beauty of like, I'm alive, like I'm still here. Absolutely. I'm sure that's. I mean, we have that. I'm sure when you used to kind of face death in a way that probably not a lot of people have, and it's incredible that that you get to live these days now and feel that even more. Like every day is a gift, I guess.
Absolutely, and I'll try and live like that. I mean, I'm happier with the simpler things than I was before. I used to think just go out and I need to find something to excite and stimulate me, but I don't need that so much anymore because the little things of life stimulate me just fine.
But I think it's beautiful to love the simple things, and see also that simple living is everything, it's just like, and we just have to, just have to kind of, and I'm glad that I'm just glad that you got to that point, and I'm sure that that will just keep growing, it's more.
I hope so.
It's a beautiful thing. And so you are currently still coaching people with cancer, so they can reach out to you, and
anyone from anywhere. What we do is so I also have a network of other cancer coaches that just because it's not always that you're a fit. Sometimes exactly. Some people might not be comfortable talking to a bald-headed idiot in Switzerland, and so
for some people it's all they want to do, right?
Some people, and we can do it by Zoom. We can do we can do it like, obviously face to face is not so easy if you don't live in Switzerland, but could be possible. But
come and breathe on that balcony. Come on.
But usually things are done by Zoom these days. We can do the yoga stuff via Zoom as well. So it's definitely all things are possible.
Amazing. Well, I'll definitely make sure that we put your link in the show notes, and people just please reach out to Tom. And also, like, I'd love to. Whoa, Sparky wanted to say something.
Sparky, yeah, I agree, Sparky.
He's like sneezing and coughing. I wanted to end also with this beautiful saying you have on your website, where it's like, there's a flower that blooms in the darkness, and you are one of those flowers, which I think is a beautiful way, because I think that you're saying that to people, but I think it's also me saying that to you. Like, I think that definitely you are that person, and like, I think it's beautiful that you can shine even in the darkness, and coming out of that, pulling out of that. I like the painting that you have of your journey done by your friend in your house. I think says a lot about, it's just so beautiful, and, it really, incorporates everything.
It is. It's it touches it touches me that he captured everything about me so well.
Yeah.
And when I never thought it would be that perfect.
It is a perfect painting, really, isn't it? Well done. Even not
really
knowing you well,
great.
it's like you can just tell, like, wow, all kinds of elements of Tom are in there, and I think it's also what I love about the painting is, like, you have something visual that reminds you of your recovery right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was I look at it every day and I'm like, he really nailed that.
He nailed that. Yay, and I can look at it every day. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for taking the time, Tom, to share your journey with us, and I hope people reach out to you, and it's just really good to know that you are there for people, and that if people need any advice or coaching, they can find you. And I'm really grateful that I met you, and I can't wait to come to that balcony again.
But I think we're coming to you first, aren't we?
Yeah, please come. We're here. Yes. We're here. Waiting for you.
Remember?
Oh yeah,
pizzas.
Pizza. Vegan
pizzas have been promised.
That's it. Oh, they're here. They're here. Miguel is an amazing pizza maker, so we'll be waiting for you guys for sure. And for everybody listening, please reach out to Tom. Just check him out anyway. I'll share the Instagram. I'll share the website. Go check out Tom. He does amazing things, and grateful for this time together. And do you have any? Did I miss anything, Tom? Do you want to say anything else?
No, you covered it all.
I covered
Very
it
good
all.
host you are. Excellent.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much. And for everybody listening, you know the drill. Be good to yourself. Be good to others, especially the animals. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so very much for listening to Go For Your Life. I really appreciate it. And if you liked it, you know what to do. Please leave a review, leave a comment, share it amongst friends, do whatever you can do to support me and this podcast, because it is my life. Thank you very much, Miguel, for doing the editing. Thank you so much, Maria, for your beautiful designs. Thank you, Sparky, for being the best co-host ever. Thank you, animals worldwide, for your daily inspiration to keep me going, for always putting that fuel in me. Thank you so much, because we know the drill, right? Namaste, vegan. Go, 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 go.